The idea is to develop the values in a way so that the values don't get out of control. Okay, so here we have this set of values on these blocks prior to subjecting it to light, and here we have the blocks subjected to the light, and you see something that happens very unexpected. White being a value that you would never think it would ever be darker than black. But when you put a strong light on these set of values, look at what happens. The black here on the side of the light is actually brighter than the white on the shadow side. So there's a lot of things that happen in nature and with light that are unexpected, okay? So here we go. We're going to make reference to this. We're going to develop an area with an area that is broken up into 6 sections, right, to imitate this this block. Okay, so I'm going to take a 15-inch line, and I'm going to keep it nice and square in the center of the page, right, and I'm going to run it right down the middle, 15 inches. I'm going to make a little mark every 5 inches. 1, 2, 3, okay. And I'm going to use a medium pencil here. I forgot to mention that, okay. And now I'm going to create the top line. I'm going to put the ruler on the 5-inch mark, and I'm going to create a 10-inch line across the top. And I'm going to keep it nice and square, okay, and I'm going to put in the next 10-inch line like this, trying to keep everything nice and square to the page. I love being neat, okay. The 5-inch mark, okay, and then we simply connect the outside, okay. And here we have it, 6 areas. Okay, so now the strategy is that we're going to, as we do a drawing, we do the whole drawing at once, right? We identify values in sets, so to speak, right? So I'm going to first put down the first layer, and I'm looking to imitate these values here. Okay, and again, I'm gliding the pencil at an angle to develop a nice edge that's going to help me efficiently cover the values. And I'm drawing beyond. I'm incorporating the values that are that fall within the value, so it's all of them, okay? They all fall within this first value, right? And I'm being consistent. Okay, if you go outside the box a little bit, you can always take the kneaded eraser and clean it up, and that can be done later. The idea is that I'm covering the whole area with that particular value in mind, right? And you got to stick to the strategy. Okay, and I'm going in one direction. My next application of values, I will change the direction. And as you keep developing the values, you will change line direction and things will smooth out nicely. Okay. And the objective is to recreate these values. Okay. So I'm looking, is this value match this? No, I'm going to give it one more layer. Okay, I've changed line direction. It's a lot of work, but this is an exercise to get familiar with the development, how to develop values that relate to each other, that support each other without overcommitting one or the other. Okay. I'm drawing beyond these boundaries, applying the value, because it's a whole set of values that fall within that value. Keeping in mind that I'm working towards a smooth effect. So right now we're getting the value down, aiming a little bit. Aiming for the hot spots. The hot spots are the spots where the value of the paper are coming through. Okay. I'm going to maybe give it just a little bit more value, aiming for some of the hot spots, change my line direction, and you see how things are smoothing out already in a nice fashion. Okay, so now I think I'm happy with that value, matching it. So now I'm going to move on, and the next subset is these 4 areas, right? And I'm going for that value, right? So and here's where I have to be careful now. There's a distinct line. Transition is sharp, right? And I'm drawing past the delineation in this subset, right? Going over it. And then my next subset of values will be these 3. Just gliding the pencil, gliding the pencil. And I've developed a nice angle for good coverage. Changing my angles, creating a smooth effect, gliding the pencil, developing the values slowly, okay? And the idea is to not overcommit any one value, right? We've identified the objective is to duplicate these values, okay? There's this distinct difference between these 2 values. So now I think I'm going to need to go just a little darker on this subset. I'm still working with these 4 areas, trying to make them equal, even. Notice how I'm doing the whole drawing at once. Very important. You don't want to stagnate, get caught up in some area. Okay. Aiming for the hot spots. Okay, so for the sake of this demonstration, we're going to move on. So now I'm going to address these three values, which are darker than that value. So all three of them are darker. So we're going to treat them as one. Trying to make the areas as smooth as possible. Smooth means consistent, right? And this whole side is darker than that last value, than this one. This one in the end is going to be black, black, very, very dark. But we develop it slowly. That's the last thing we do is, right? So this, for the sake of this demonstration again, we're going to move on, and we're going to be able to adjust slightly the effect of the technique at the end. But I want to get this as smooth and as solid, and the only way to do that is to change directions right now. It's always the case, you know, as you change the directions, things smooth out. Okay, and we can always go back and smooth this out. Okay, so now this area is darker than this. So here we go. The next value is these two. So now we're going to move on and push on the values. All right, and we want to make nice, sharp, distinct transitions. And this is a strategy to achieve a relationship of values, right, that are supporting the objective of the drawing. In this particular case, it was to duplicate these values. So there's a distinct difference, right, between each value. Constantly changing line directions to create that smooth effect, right? You can go back and aim for the hot spots to create a smooth, sort of ubiquitous value. Consistent value, I mean. Right, and the transitions are nice and sharp, right? Aim for the hot spots just to smooth things out. Just gliding the pencil, developing the value very slowly. Okay, so then now I'm looking for, so the next value is this really dark one down here, right? So Gonna get in there and make that distinct, sharp transition. Right, and this idea that we developed the values in stages, identifying the subsets, is to maintain control so that your values don't get out of control. And we're always working from light to dark. The light of the page, right, is there to harness with these values. Right here, and now we're starting to see a relationship of values that are true to this configuration, right? Our white in the shadow side is darker than our black in the bright side, which is sort of counterintuitive to what you would expect. But that's what happens in nature, right? So the light creates that contrast. The light source was coming from the left side, right? Smooth out the areas. And notice I'm not smudging or anything. I'm not into smudging. I want to work with the line. Smudging gets you into trouble. The tooth of the paper gets compromised, and then you get uneven results. Okay. And theoretically, this block here should be black, black, right? And we're getting there. Right? And we use our kneaded eraser, right, to clean things up if you'd like, right? A little bit here and there. We like neatness. I like to sharpen the eraser a little bit to get into those difficult areas, right? And it's almost like you can draw with the eraser a little bit, right? Look at that, nice and sharp. Okay. Nice clean edges all around. And we could just go in and touch it up a little bit, right? Nice, sharp edges. Okay, so the end result is that we have our objective was set. We were able to duplicate these values, right? And without overcommitting any values, right? We did the drawing all at once. We applied the values that were all falling within the identified value, right? So first these 5, and then these 4, then these 3, then these 2, and then that 1, okay? So that's basically the approach to putting values in any drawing, okay? And now I'm just cleaning it up, smoothing things out, aiming for the hot spots, bright spots. And if you ever overcommit the values in any one area, you want to use the pouncing technique, right? To pounce the value out. Because if you rub it, it's going to create, the tooth of the paper is going to get compromised, and then you're going to have a hard time. So here you see how I was able to smooth that out. And you can work towards smoothing out this area. And if you make a mistake like that, you can always go in there, sharpen it, and remove the value. Okay. Okay, so there you go. Mission accomplished. The values are distinctly different, and they appear and fulfill the strategy and the goal of the drawing. Okay.